Welcome back from the break. You're watching This Week, and I'm Samna Sambo. Now, the proposed tax reform bills have continued to generate reactions as the Senate went ahead to pass for second reading the highly contentious bills. The Senate passed the tax bills, ignoring advice from state governors and the National Economic Council, NEC, to withdraw the proposal for wider consultations. Former Senate leader Ali Ndume has been at the forefront of resistance against the tax reforms. He maintains his strong stance, questioning the timing and the speed with which the tax reform is being pushed. He also faults the derivation clause in the VAT sharing formula, describing it as an attempt to shortchange the North. Ndume has not been the only one kicking. The governor of Borno State, Governor Zulum, has also kicked vehemently against the tax proposal, saying it will cripple the economy of the North. In the wake of the tax conundrums, Northern senators on Thursday met behind closed doors following the Senate's passage of the tax reform bills for a second reading. But Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin, who presided, says majority of people, including some lawmakers who are his colleagues, do not have a full understanding of the content of the tax reform bills. He says the controversial bills were quickly passed for second reading to allow the public to make comments on them through public hearing, where the views of the public will be synthesized. Well, joining us in the studio now to examine the tax reform bills is an economist and former federal lawmaker, Senator Yusuf. Yusuf, he represented Taraba Central Senatorial District between 2015 to 2023, making him a ranking senator. Thank you so much, distinguished.
Thank you very much.
All right, so talk to us. I mean, your colleagues are really having a tough time, and it's beginning to take a dimension, making it look like it's a north-south war on this tax reform bills. The Deputy President of the Senate, who presided, says many of his colleagues don't have an idea of this, while some other senators from sections of the country are actually afraid that if this is not given proper public hearing and different procedures, that hastily passing these bills, like some other bills have been done, may be a big problem for the country. Talk to us about your views.
Well, thank you very much. There's nothing wrong in tax reform. There's nothing wrong with it. However, the timing is important. The functions of the bills are important. Who should pay? Who should benefit from the tax? It's important. And at the same time, whether the tax is from an independent source or from a dependent source, and the rest of them, they're all important. But for me, subjecting it to public hearing is a very good thing. Let the public come and discuss the issue. My only fear is the influence that may be exerted in the National Assembly to pass it, whether the public hearing is done, is against it or not. That is where my fear lies.
Yeah, I mean, many people say the way some of the tax experts were brought into the chamber hastily without senators being aware. I mean, some of your colleagues actually said that's a red flag. Why does the presidency seem to just want to, dump things on them?
Yes, for me, it's not necessary for the experts to go to plenary and make presentation to the Senate. For me, it doesn't make any sense to me. What they would have done is, since they want to subject it to public hearing, let the expert go and have, because other people who are against the bill have not been given the opportunity to make their presentation. Why is the presentation on one side only? So I think, they ought to have left it, for public hearing to decide. But in public hearing, like I said, let there not be manipulation by the committee to bring out something that is antithesis to what the people of this country want. So that is my only fear. But otherwise, we can subject it, we can debate it, we can discuss it. My colleagues, whether they have read it or they have not read it, they have no reason not to read it anyway. They have all the ample time, they have their clerks, they have their special assistants who
including consultants
and consultants. Although they are not, I'm not sure if they are giving money for such consultancy. But there should not be any reason why senators or members House of Representatives at this point in time would not have dissected and read all the bills and made their own opinion.
And one of the controversial issues, the VAT, the value-added tax, and people are saying that agriculture in the North doesn't have VAT and all of that. And it looks like the North is being made to look like they don't contribute so much to VAT. And the sharing formula between the federal government, the states, and local governments on VAT is one thing. And then the originating source of the tax for the VAT is another one, where they are saying that because Lagos has more companies headquarters while the consumption is being done elsewhere. So some of the senators are calling for a sales tax like it's done in Malaysia, where you have the sales, wherever it is consumed, that's where the sales tax should come from. I mean, what's been your overview as an economist?
My overview today, in the first place, I think I had a meeting somewhere where I said Nigeria is undertaxed. However, who is undertaxed and who is not undertaxed? Nigeria is one country where the poor is subsidizing the rich. That is why we have the problem.
And how do you mean by that?
I mean, we have all the luxuries in this country, that are minimally paid. And when we come to value, a common man will value his 10 naira more than a rich man valuing his 1 million naira. So if really we want to have a really distribution of income in this country, we shouldn't have a uniform VAT. We should have VAT for luxuries separate and VAT for necessities different. It is that way that we'll have a proper revenue base. Just like what has been said, we should widen the basis. Just like, some of our people talk about agriculture, livestock and what have you. Yes, why can't they be taxed? They should be taxed. But since it is, they are owners of capital, so it should be taxed. What I am saying, the labor and the poor people of this country should not be made to pay for the luxury of the rich.
All right, so there are some of the things that the government is also in that it's doing, and that people should not be afraid that those who earn below 1 million naira, they don't need to be afraid. There are some concessions, they won't pay taxes and all of that. But those who are earning above 1 million naira, of course, their taxes have to, increase and all of that. And then, of course, the government is saying that it needs more money, that we can't continue with the way we are going at the moment. How do we strike a balance as to what the government wants and what Nigerians should look out for without being, regionalistic in our outlook?
That is why I brought the issue of labor capital. Labor capital, it is not a distribution of regions. It is a distribution between factors of production. So if you are saying that no tax on investment, no tax on capital, no tax on things related to capital, but there's a lot of tax on labor, that means you are planting seed of revolution in this country. Because labor will not be sitting down quietly and see that, they are the people that are taxed, to support the luxuries of the rich. It shouldn't be. That is why I'm going to. Yes, the North has land, the North has, livestock, in 1980 or so, the government of Kano State, abolished, cattle tax, and follow to that, the government of late, President Shagari also abolished, cattle tax. We still have this problem up till today. We do not know the number of cattle that we have in this country, so that there is no record, there is no data. So, and we need that. Even the tax that we are doing, the purpose of tax is not only to generate revenue. We should also know who is paying tax, who is not paying tax, what is the social security, what and what and what. You see, these fundamentals are not in place. That is why I say it is not ripe to even, consider these, tax reform bills, because the fundamentals are not in place.
Okay, and some of the issues that we have here have to be as to how to actually create a functional society, because if we do not have enough taxation to be able to drive the economy and get more funds, then there'll be a problem. But here now, we are seeing the senators, I mean, your colleagues, actually going into the mode of making it look like maybe they're against President Tinubu. And we hear Professor Babagana Zulum from Borno State actually saying that, look, this thing may affect us more, the northerners, and that some states, even in the southeast and south-south, may not be able to function very well. While some northerners are also looking at it as it's a Tinubu agenda, and there's a way to actually strengthen the southwest against other regions of the country. Within the politics, as a politician, what could be the best way out of this?
Now, the best way out of this is government has done its own study, because from the Tax Reform Committee, and government has found that there is need for it to increase revenue. But why it is counterproductive for certain section of the country is from the productive base. You know, they say they are not going to tax, you know, production, you know, and all this. So for my own take, you know, the reason why I'm saying this is that there is not enough study and enough information, you know, to enable people to discuss this thing further.
Is it about a lack of information, or the North is just against President Tinubu?
No. It's
maybe because he's from the South, because that's, people are looking at it from that lens. That any time there's the Southern president and there are some reforms being brought in, the North will just gang up and say, no, using its population, using its lawmakers and all of that. Is that the sort of situation? Is the North afraid of reforms?
Sir, there is no fear from the North. After all, the North voted Asiwaju in power. The North has the right to protect what it has voted into power. So nobody is coming to tell me or tell somebody that the North is against Tinubu, maybe against some of his policies. I agree. Because there is the difference between policy and reform. There's between policy and also, you know, program. You know, we have programs that we do not have effective policy to run the program for the benefit of Nigerians. Maybe that's where the issue is. But there's no northerner that is saying that he is afraid or he is plotting you to overthrow Tinubu. For what reason?
Well, they say it's become a sort of spot for northern politicians. When you have a southern president, the northern politicians and heavyweights bully the southern president to submission. And this is the sort of thing that is going to happen when the bills are provided. Some of the top leaders are saying that the northern senators and northern House of Rep members should use their strength in numbers to actually defeat these bills.
Good. If the bills are good, if the bills are right, if the bills, you know, are in the right place, if the bills, you know, are for the benefit of the whole country, fairly, equitably, why would they not say no? It is the equitability that we are talking about. Obasanjo was from the South. Who plotted against Obasanjo? He did his 8 years. Who plotted to remove him? Who plotted to remove Jonathan during his time? Who plotted? So all these ones are people who wants to create problem for us in this country. So we have an agenda, you know, I mean, Mr. President has his own agenda. Now let him put his agenda in the best way that it will be equitable to this country. Let it not bring issues that will bring, you know, suspicion here and there.
Yeah, well, the leader of the Tax Reforms Committee is actually saying that there needs to be a more political solution to this matter than parliamentary or even party solution.
Sorry, is tax political?
Well, it says the way it's going, the conversation is going.
So why should
like there should be a more political solution.
Why should they bring a tax that is political? They should bring a tax that is economic, that has economic value for this country. If the committee, you know, is now saying that it should have a political solution, I think it should have been dead on arrival.
Okay, and apart from that, we also have other policies of the Tinubu administration, right from the removal of petrol subsidy to the issue of, you know, the exchange rate and all of that. What's been your impression of President Tinubu in government so far?
My brother, I have been arguing since the 8th Assembly. The fundamental issue is that we have not attacked the value of the Naira. Why are you depreciating a currency that is already undervalued? Why? The IMF said the Naira is undervalued. World Bank said the Naira is undervalued. Why are you depreciating the currency further? For what reason? For you to make the country more conducive to federal, to
foreign direct investment.
That's what saying, you want to make the country cheaper and cheaper and cheaper while destroying the domestic economy.
Well, the idea is actually to bring in more. When you bring in $1 billion, for example, under Buhari, you bring it to $1 billion under Tinubu, you have more Naira under Tinubu than under Buhari. Maybe it's supposed to drive production. And
my brother, is money illusion.
You think so?
It is money illusion. Who will repair your house? Someone else?
Well, that's the idea. If we have hot money coming into
what
the
they are
country.
doing is destroying the economy, is destroying the domestic economy. If you are destroying the domestic economy and thinking that somebody will come with investment into this country because the country is cheap, I think you are making the greatest mistake of your life. That is the major issue, that the economy is not responding. You continue to devalue the currency that ought to have been revalued. Where have you seen that?
Well, you're a member of the All Progressives Congress, and I don't know if the APC actually discusses economic matters like this in the party, because, shouldn't there be a role of the party in guiding its president and government in power, that some of these policies may actually affect our fortunes in the next election?
Certainly there should be. That has been, I was a member of CECPC, where we argued, even the budget of federal government, should have emanated from the party, because the party's programs were the ones that were sold, to the Nigerian people to have voted. It is not the renewed hope. What is sold to Nigeria is not the renewed hope.
It's the APC manifesto.
It's the APC manifesto.
Good.
So if it is the APC manifesto, then the party should have the fundamental right to decide even what is presented to the National Assembly, or even what is presented to the Federal Executive Council.
Well, it seems the party has capitulated under the arm of the president. Shouldn't the party be guiding its president? But it looks like it's the presidency that's guiding the party.
That is where the fundamental issue is, the fundamental problem is. We say the president is the leader of the party. For me, the party should be supreme. The party brought Mr. President into power. Mr. President did not bring the party into power. So, and therefore, whatever it is, the party should be the deciding factor as to what programs that are going to be presented, for debate in the FEC, for debate, in the National Assembly. So, I have been arguing that, where is the budget of the party? The party, for one reason or the other, maybe did not feel, comfortable, thinking that, whatever it presents, it will be a challenge to the executive. For me, you present it to the executive, then you defend it.
Just before I let you go, the 2025 budget is yet to be presented. You're a former federal lawmaker. Following the calendar of the National Assembly, especially when we return to the January to December, by now the National Assembly should have almost gone halfway into, preparing the budget for next year. But this is honestly, getting into December, and we haven't really seen anything.
I don't see what magic they are going to make.
But well, some people say with this sort of National Assembly we have, they will rush through the presentation and there will still be a January to December.
That is what I don't want to believe in, with the sort of National Assembly. No,
well, that's
the National Assembly should be the National Assembly, and the National Assembly should live up to its own expectation to make sure that the budget that is brought, is sorted out with the MDS, in very, very clear terms, especially now that, we have more and more challenging periods. So I think the time is short for National Assembly to engage the MDS.
Yeah, and this is President Tinubu's first budget, actually. His full budget that is going to be presented, and it's coming late.
Yeah, and he's presenting a budget that is even double of that of, almost double of that of, 2023. So there are a lot of challenges. This budget ought to have been, if care is not taken, I think we are going to move from January to December. We might have to move from March
Okay, well, we already have
March
3
to
budgets
March.
going on at the moment.
Yes.
Well, we must thank you so much, Senator Yusuf.
A lot of income.
Yeah.
If the government wants to do, we have so many enterprises whose capital base, like share capital, pay share capital, 1 million naira. And these companies of Papa and Mama or Papa and children are getting contracts of about 2 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion. These are areas in which they should look. They should not go and be putting so much pressure on the common man, putting pressure on the poor.
We must thank you so much, Senator Yusuf. Yusuf is a politician and a former federal lawmaker that represented Taraba Central in the 8th and 9th Senate. And we must thank you so much for your immense wealth of knowledge and understanding of the present federal government. Well, that's the much we can take on this edition of This Week. Thanks to our production team here in Abuja, Lagos, and London. Do join us same time next week for another exciting edition. I'm Somna Sambo.